payment that you're making because they qualify you based on your monthly payout and your monthly income. So whatever you're paying a month, well, for people now, though, the standard programs for, most of your buyers, which is FHA, requires you to take 1% of that.
Wow.
So 1% of your whole debt amount. They're not even going to look at, if you're only paying $29 a month, they're not looking at that anymore.
Wow.
And it has totally changed the game for millennials.
Well, I tell you what, Vitra, you've already lit up some of the questions we're having. I have a question from Phil, who's sending this message from the East Coast. And he said, my son and his new wife are trying to figure out how to buy. With $5,000 down, how much of a house can they buy? Their income is in the range of $90,000. What do banks want to see as qualifiers? And the second part of his question is, what kind of mortgage payment are they looking at? And of course, without having a lot of other factors, can you just kind of generalize when you're responding to this one?
Yes, I can. Okay. So they have $5,000. They make about $90,000. They're going to look at what their debt is. So let's just say they have, they're going to look at it monthly, but $90,000 with, I would say an average debt of about $25,000. You're going to be able to qualify, depending on your credit score. You need a minimum 620 credit score, okay? There are some loans that will give it to you at 580. However, your interest rate is going to be higher. So goal is 620, middle score, your middle score. And I'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
At about 70, so we're going to take about $70,000 in income. You can qualify for about a $275,000, $300,000 house. If you're in the $300,000 range, you're on the East Coast. You're looking at, unless you're in like some of the rural areas, I will use the DMV as a guide. In Southern Maryland, you're going to be paying less than you would in the northern part of the county because the taxes on the house are higher in the northern part of the county than it is in the southern part of the state. So you're going to be looking at, if you're at about $250,000 home, you're going to be looking at a $1,700 to $1,800 mortgage. The closer you get to $300,000, you're in the 2,000s and up. Okay, so about $2,200 at a $300,000 mortgage, and that's in general. So we have to really look at your details. $5,000 down. We can work with that. We get you into some programs that you may qualify for. We can definitely work with that. I'm telling you, most of my last millennial I just closed last week got into her house. She wanted to move to Virginia, which the real estate is a little bit higher. And she got in with $500.
With $500 down?
$500. Yeah, she got so.
Wow.
And you have to put in the skin in the game, and that's usually 1% of the sales price, right? Which is earnest money deposit.
Right.
Everybody has to put that down. It goes to your deal. But the program that she got gave her enough money that she got $3,100 back, which meant that her skin in the game and her down payment for that house ended up being $500.
And this was a real house, not something you inflate with air?
This was a townhouse in Virginia, in Haymarket, Virginia, and it was it was the $300,000 house.
Wow!
And her mortgage is like $2,100.
Wow! How has the with the fall of the market about 10 years ago when the housing market kind of crumbled and looked crazy around 2007, 2008. Has it gotten back to where it was? Because housing prices were not quite. People were upside down. People weren't. The houses weren't worth what they what they couldn't sell them because you couldn't sell them to somebody because they hadn't reached the value that they still owed, and you couldn't get a loan for a house that didn't appraise for what it was some years ago. Has that kind of evened out at this point, or are we still playing catch up? Do you find in your market?
It's getting there. We're getting to a point where you don't have as many foreclosures. You don't have as many distressed homes. There still are some people struggling. And many of those have decided to hang in there and put a renter in the house and let somebody else pay that mortgage and go and, try to do something different.
Here. You're on my street.
How about that?
Yes. So some people have done that. But the difference between what's happening now and what happened then is the lending is more traditional. So you had lenders, the subprime lending, and people were getting loans that really shouldn't have, unfortunately.
You were getting loans like box tops for cereal.
Yes, and the interest rates were like, one guy we're about to sell his house soon. List his house on the market. He said, I didn't even have to verify my income. And I'm like, whoa, that is so crazy to me. But
wow.
And the interest rates were like 10%. People were getting into loans with high interest rates with the promise of being able to restructure those loans later. The market crashed. The lenders, some of them were able to get loan modifications, and then they sold the loans. And then the lenders that picked them up said, no, we're not going to do that. And so then people end up in these distressed situations with no way out. And it's really a shame. It's really sad to see, because we have people who've been in their houses for 12 years or longer, and they can't afford to stay in it.
Yeah, that was one of the things, when I left and moved, we were the belief was that it would get to the point, because they were doing all kinds of financial acrobatics back then. You had people assuming loans and all kinds of things that they cut all that stuff out now. And now
there's a lot of regulation now, and I think it's best for the consumer. Like, right. You don't want to get into too much. You don't want to be upside down. And so you really do want somebody to help lead you through that, because real estate is a very emotional process, and you don't want to get caught up.
Right. Ugh. So I got to wait it out. That's what that means. Okay.
You got to wait it out.
Wait it out.
I got a few more years.
Let me ask a follow-up question, Ravitra. Again, this is from Phil, and he is actually from the DMV area. And his follow-up question was, with every $5,000, approximately how much does that decrease your monthly outlay? And we'll base it on that $300,000 home you were talking about earlier.
It's not much, honestly. It's not like a car, right? Where for every $1,000 it's $20. It's not like that. So you can't really say. It's really hard to say what that looks like, because it isn't dollar for dollar. So, gosh, I would say maybe, if I had to take a swag, because I actually just asked the lender that question, but it may be $20, maybe $25 for every $5,000. It is really, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, because you got your interest rate, you got the taxes, you got your mortgage insurance in there. So you're not just looking at, it's not a straight like $5,000 against the principal. It's $5,000 against the principal, the interest, your homeowner's insurance, your taxes. So it doesn't balance the way like a car loan would, Phil. But if we sit down and take a look at your profile in full, we can give you a little bit more of that. Like, what does it look like? How much, if I put this amount down? What I can tell you is, what I tell my my clients is, if I would prefer to keep as much cash in my pocket as possible for, decorating the house and things like that than trying to put 5,000 towards something that's only going to bring it down $25.
Sure. And Wavitra, before we go to the break, before Ambezi takes us to the break, give out your phone number so those folks that are listening can get a hold of you and possibly retain your services.
Absolutely. So you can reach us at the home team of Exit Landmark Realty. The office number is 301-850-6700. And my personal cell phone number is 240-678-2640. I am happy to talk to you guys. This is my favorite topic.
Awesome. And give it out one more time.
All right. 301-850-6700 is the office number. Ask for the home team of Exit Landmark Realty, or 240-678-2640, and you can ask for me, Wavitra Jordan.
All right. Well, that is awesome. This has been a great discussion so far. So when we get back, we're going to get more tips on what you should and should not do when purchasing a home. More to come. So keep it locked. We'll be right back.
Real talk, straight, no chaser. We'll be right back.
What do you wish for? A nice life? Nice things? Or do you wish for something more? A sense of purpose? Do you wish to discover a cure? To write code that cracks an unsolvable question? To further our exploration into space? Or to invent something that changes everything right here on Earth? Well, if that's your wish, make yourself ready. Because when you look back, you'll see that you didn't just make wishes, you realized them.
The path to happiness is not the easy one. But taking drugs will not make it easier. Many people got lost and end up losing their life to drugs. If you or anyone that you know is within that path, don't be afraid to seek for help. Visit www.adk.gov.my for information related to drug abuse. So, know your path. This message is brought to you by the National Anti-Drugs Agency.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Where I wanted to quit, in the back of my mind, I told myself I have to quit. And just that day when I reached for that cigarette, I'll never forget it, with my son looking at me. And it was like a bolt of lightning hit me, where I finally realized the big picture of what year after year and cigarette after cigarette had done. And